Welcome back to Brick Dynasty Live. Tonight's guest, you may recognize from his Wednesday build streams, from various build challenges and tutorials you might have seen on Instagram, and maybe a little thing called Lego Masters.
Possibly.
Might be a familiar face there. Mr. BradyJoynerBricks.
Hello, Hi.
Justin.
Thank Hello. You. How's it going? Yeah, thank you, Ken, for having me. I really appreciate the invite.
So first question, because it might not necessarily be obvious. BradyJoynerBricks. Do you want to explain that for the people that aren't aware where that came from?
Sure, will do. Yeah, and I'm trying to find the page that I was working on this build. Here we go. I started this build with my husband last week, and then we were trying to do it through the Build Together app, where it's like you can set it up where both people are building at the same time, and it kind of tells you, you build this part, you build this part, and then it tells you to switch things and whatever. It worked great for other sets. With this one, it was a nightmare. And so I said, let's finish through bag 5, because that's where we were at in the digital instructions, and then let's switch to just doing it by paper. So anyway, so to answer your question, BradyJoynerBricks. So my last name is Brady Joyner. Most people think my first name is Brady because we created this account with this name. So back in 2017, actually a couple years prior to that, my husband and I were, after our wedding, we took our sig figs from our wedding cake and we took them on our honeymoon with us and took pictures of them on the honeymoon. And we were having so much fun with that, like Lego minifigure photography. And got a decent response from our friends that just thought it was really fun, and also started to find other minifigure photographers out in the world who were doing this type of stuff by just using different hashtags and things. And after a couple trips after that of continuing this fun journey, our friends started to say, hey, we'd like to see pictures of you and not of your Lego. And so at that point we said, okay, maybe we should create an Instagram account that's just for the minifigure vacation photos. And that's really kind of what started this. So we created BradyJoynerBricks as a joint account. And eventually it just kind of, he lost access on his Instagram account for some reason, and I continued operating with the account. And at that point got really involved in like mock building and got involved in our lug and everything. And it kind of became a bigger thing for me, which is a lot of fun. And it's still a hobby that my husband does, but it became more of like, okay, this is Justin's account and this is what he does. So, so yeah, the name is literally our last name. I think if I had it to do over, I wouldn't do that. It's not the safest or smartest choice to put your last name out there like that. But at this point, it's kind of like I feel like it's something that people know. So I'm not planning to change it. So, but I will say that more often than not, I am talking with people. They're often calling me Brady. And usually I don't really feel like correcting people on that because it doesn't feel like that big of a deal. But yeah, my name is Justin. So I appreciate that you knew that from the beginning.
Yeah, I could see where the confusion would be there. And it's not often you see somebody willing to put their full name out.
No, yeah. And I don't think we were even thinking anything about that when we were creating the account. It was just like, oh, what could we name this? So this, this works. And then, yeah, pretty quickly, or not pretty quickly, a couple of years into it, I started to realize maybe that wasn't the smartest choice. But yeah, it works. It's fine.
So, yeah. You said that was 2017 or so?
Yeah. So I moved to Austin in 2009 and was like randomly walking through the mall and ran into a Lego store. So that's kind of what initially brought me out of my dark ages. But the Instagram presence and all of that kind of stuff didn't really start until 2017, I think. So yeah, August of 2017. So I just passed 8 years on Instagram, and probably, I think, 2 years of doing live streams on YouTube and doing some longer form videos. So YouTube is newer for me in the last couple of years. I've mostly been sharing like any reel that I do on Instagram. I also share on YouTube. So there's, the YouTube shorts that content maps to Reels in a very similar way. But the core reason I started doing YouTube was to lean more into the educational side of things. So if I'm reviewing a set, I like to talk about some of the techniques that I'm learning and then incorporate that into build challenges or show people how that incorporates into mocks and that kind of stuff. And that just doesn't translate all that well onto Instagram. It's too short format for that type of stuff to do well. So Instagram or YouTube is a little bit better of a place for longer form content than that. So, plus, I prefer it for live streams more than Instagram's format. Although I enjoy doing both, and I've toyed with the idea of doing what we're doing here, where it's kind of live in two places at once. It looks like with the taller feed and whatnot too. But actually, maybe I should ask you: is this also live on Instagram right now? Or
No.
Oh, okay. I just saw the narrow window too, so wasn't sure.
Yeah, so we're live in the regular feed and the YouTube Shorts feed. So
gotcha. Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, I think that's something I haven't really looked into yet. Is the YouTube Shorts live feed as well? So cool.
Yeah,
nice.
Be warned, if you do that, the Shorts feed brings in some interesting characters.
I'm sure. Yes. It is interesting to see like the type of communication that I see on Instagram is different than what I see on YouTube, just in general. And I would also say I'm not really doing TikTok as much anymore, but I was doing TikTok for a while too. And I felt like it was distinctly different audiences with different needs and interests and everything. And I think the same still applies here with Instagram, with Facebook now. I'm doing a little bit more there, and YouTube, both people who subscribe for the longer form content and chime in for the live streams versus those who watch my shorts. It's a very different audience. So
yeah, you can have a real conversation in the normal feed.
Yes, agreed.
In the shorts feed, it's a lot of people just coming in, giving you like one quick thought they don't even care about a response to, and then they're gone.
Yep.
And TikTok, man, those people are a different breed.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's a very interesting. I've been really surprised to see how different it is from place to place. So, and I prefer Instagram and YouTube as my core platforms now, because I really feel like the engagement that I get on Instagram feels authentic and genuine, and these are people that I consider friends and that I've been connected with for years now. That's grown and changed over time, especially with the show being out. That my following there has grown a little bit in that sense, but it's all been good, wonderful, kind people, which I really appreciate. So, and YouTube, I feel like it's mostly been the same too in terms of the longer form stuff too. So, but
good people out there.
Yes. Yeah. For the most part. So.
Okay. So you said you ended up in a mall in 2009.
Yes.
That's what brought you out of your dark ages. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you grow up with Lego?
I did. Yeah. So I grew up building Lego. I remember I have a lot of fond memories of building Lego sets as a kid. The ones that feel most nostalgic to me are the Islanders Pirates line. I had all of those that I can remember anyway, as well as I want to say it was the Blacktron second wave that had like the neon green, transparent green color with it, as well as I think it was Spirius. I don't know how you pronounce it, but was like red and black with the neon green as well. So those sets were very iconic or nostalgic for me, and then also the medieval. The dragon one in particular that had the dragon with the wings and had the blue Magisto character. Those were all ones that I remember loving as a kid. And I just kind of fell out of the hobby at some point. I don't even really remember why or remember a time when I felt like I had grown out of it or anything. I think it was more that I just got really involved in music and theater, and my life just shifted in terms of where I wanted to spend my time. At the time. And then, I moved to Austin. Fast forward to 2009, I moved here for a job and in November, and my roommate was gone for most of the month of December. And so I kind of had the place to myself and was just doing some Christmas shopping and went into the mall and saw the Lego store and thought, that's weird. There's a store just for Lego. Which, come to find out, apparently that was a newer concept for Lego too. I think they hadn't really had a lot of in-person stores up until 2007 or 2008, maybe. So that was I could be misquoting that, but I feel like that's something I learned somewhat recently. And yeah, since it was like Christmas time, I remember walking in, seeing the Winter Village sets and being like, this is so cool. I love decorating for the holidays. This would be really fun to have someday. And the next year I ended up buying the Winter Village Bakery. So that set in particular is the one that I feel like is really pulled me out of my dark ages. I think in 2009, I bought an Advent, the Lego City Advent, because I was like, oh, this is a small little thing. It'll be fun to build. And I repackaged that same Advent year after year after year and rebuilt it every year, the exact same one, as opposed to buying a new one up until, I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago. And then I started to buy new ones. So,
Wow.
but you know.
That's the cool part about Advent calendars is
Yeah.
they run on a 25-day cycle. So the day of the week doesn't matter. Makes no difference how they land.
Yeah, for sure. So, but yeah, the collection all started mostly as like holiday decorations. So I bought a lot of the Winter Village sets, mostly year after year. There's a few that I've missed out on over the years. And then would buy, you know, the Easter set and the Valentine set, anything that I just was like, oh, that's cute and it'll be something fun to have. And then I don't know, at some point I started to buy some Jurassic Park sets for Philip. My husband's name is Philip. And for us to build together, and just things related to pop culture that we really enjoyed. We watch a ton of movies and TV and love pop culture things. And so, you know, as the sets started to come out that were connected to pop culture icons that we loved, we started to get a bunch of those over time. I didn't really start mock building though until probably 2017, when we started the Instagram account. Actually, no, that is about the time when I did. And it was, we had gone to a Brickfest Live event, which is not my favorite, but I'm glad that it was an opportunity to experience Lego and find other adults that build with Lego too. And at the event, they had a wall, a mosaic wall, where they had 16 by 16 base plates and a whole bunch of 1x1 bricks. And you could just build whatever you wanted for it. And so we built a couple things for the wall and thought, oh, this would be kind of fun to put up in our house. Let's do that. And so we started to buy 1x1 bricks and 16 by 16 plates. And we hung up a strip of 32 by 32 base plates on the wall, so that we could trade it out throughout the year. And that became like an extension of the holiday decoration stuff, but through Lego. And we also found a resale shop that had a shadow box that fit Lego base plates in perfectly, or little Lego plates in. And so they had all these little mini scenes in there, and we asked them, hey, where did you find this? That's really cool. Come to find out, it was a shot glass display case that if you turn it sideways, it fits a 6x12 base plate perfectly, or 6x12 plate perfectly. And then I think 5 bricks and 1 tile high. So a very small little window, but perfect for making these little tiny scenes. And so we started to build mostly things like from movies or holiday themed things. So I remember we had a whole collection of the movies that were up for the Oscars one year, or in 2018 actually. And my first lug meeting, I brought those with me to show, like, I felt like I had to bring something. So, and I was so embarrassed about them because I thought, these are just these tiny little things. I'm sure they'll laugh at them or think it's not worthwhile. And the lug was so amazing and so kind. And everyone was like, what a great idea for the Oscars. How cool. And I was like, these people are really nice. Like, this is really fun. So that really kind of was the beginning of the mock journey for me. So, and for Philip. So
how did you go about finding a lug? Was that something you actually looked for, or did you just meet somebody?
Not at all. Great question. Yeah. So at that Brickfest Live, we saw a booth that a vendor was selling t-shirts that were all Lego t-shirts. And I was like, these are so fun. I love them. And we went over and we bought a couple shirts from the guy there. His name's Will Heron. And usually when I say his name, about every third person in the Lego community seems to know him, and have at least one of his t-shirts, because they've been to at least one convention where they bought something from him. So he is a great guy. He's a really dear friend too, and he happened to be the ambassador for TextLug. So the TextLug Austin chapter. And so he said, you all, if you're interested, maybe you should join this sometime. So I lurked on Facebook for about 6 months, and I kept asking Philip if he wanted to go with me, and that's not really his thing. Like he can be very social, but the whole process of like meeting new people in the beginning, I would be fine entering a room with all strangers. That's not really his jam. And so I finally went February 2018 to my first lug meeting. And the only reason I remember those dates and everything is because of the fact that it was like the Oscars, and we built those little scenes for the Oscars and everything. So that's when I officially joined the lug. But it was all meeting Will because he had these really cool, cute Lego shirts. So, and now half my wardrobe is Will Heron t-shirts and other Lego shirts that I've gotten at conventions and things. I'm even wearing Lego today now that I think about it. So yeah. Are you in a lug?
I am not. And so,
okay, curious about that.
Similar issue to your husband. It's I'm not good at walking in the door.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's a challenge for sure. Yeah.
I'm happy to talk to anybody. I look forward to it. I love people, but it's just that first step in the door is hard. It's very hard.
Yeah, for sure. No, it took even like, so my background is doing musical theater, being on stage, being in front of people. My work background is facilitating and education. So teaching, being up in front of a crowd, all of that comes super comfortably and naturally to me. But I'm also an introvert, and it sucks away all of my energy to do those things. So I didn't realize I was an introvert for so long because I used to associate shyness with introversion. Because often that they do go hand in hand. And I thought, well, I'm not shy. Like I could talk to the wall. But the energy that you expend in those environments, it really does zap my energy to be in that type of space. And I would say Philip is similar in a lot of ways too. But even with being someone who I'm comfortable in front of a crowd, I'm comfortable moving across the country and living in different places and meeting people, it still was very intimidating for me to go to that first meeting for some reason. And thankfully I was met with such a kind response from people that I just was like, well, this is good. So, and I'd also say I walked in the door not knowing if these people were going to be supportive of me being queer. And that's a piece of my identity that I think has also led me to develop a little bit more of a sense of being on guard and nervous in those environments too, because I've not always been met with positivity. And so living in Austin, it's a pretty supportive environment, but there's still people everywhere that are positive and not so positive too. So thankfully they've all been really wonderful. So
now is Austin, well, I know where Austin is, but it feels like, as an outsider, because I live very far away from there, Austin seems like it's its own little state inside that state.
Yeah, it's interesting. So when I first moved here, so I bounced around the country a lot. I grew up in Colorado, bounced around, was in the South in South Carolina, was in Boston, Massachusetts, and then I was in Miami, Florida before coming here. And I moved here expecting that I would just like live in this really fun big city for a little bit and move on. I didn't really think about the fact that I was moving to Texas. And how Austin is a part of Texas. And I think part of that too was in my mind at the time. I was working in higher education. I knew that typically in that profession, the way you advance and move on is you move to another university, which often means you move to another state. And I kind of was in this period of life where I was just having fun living in new places and exploring. And so I moved here hyper focused on the Austin aspect of living here and not really thinking about the Texas aspect of living here. And for a long time, I've now been here 16 years. So this is home for sure. And for a long time, I would say I'm an Austinite, but not a Texan. And I would differentiate the two for people because I felt like it was important for them to see like I don't really connect with this big state, and it just doesn't really feel like it represents me, in part from a lot of assumptions and things that people will make about, people from different places or whatever. And I started to realize that that was doing a disservice to the state as well, because when people think of Texas, they think of a very narrow window of what that looks like and what people are like from that place. And I think that's true for any place that you live, right? And so I started to embrace saying, no, I'm a Texan, because when people think of Texas, they don't think of me. When people think of Texas, I'm typically not on their radar of what a Texan looks like. And so I wanted people to see there's a wide range of people that live in this really interesting and beautiful state. It's also enormous. And so the diversity from city to city and town to town is wildly different. But I would say Austin definitely feels like its own bubble, and feels at times very separate from the rest of the state. And also at times, being the state capital, feels very heavily integrated into it as well, which is really interesting. I like living in state capitals because I like being able to be a politically active citizen and be able to meet my representatives and go to the Capitol and talk about things that are important to me and that kind of thing. And so we live in a really unique space to be able to do that in Austin. And I think that's like one of the really cool benefits of being in this type of environment. But it definitely feels very different than the rest of Texas. I would say when I drive outside of Austin, once I'm beyond the initial suburbs that are around Austin, it really starts to feel very, very different to me. And often very uncomfortable to me, to be perfectly honest. So I don't always feel. Yeah. And there's things that, like the fact that I have pink hair, the fact that I, wear nail polish and everything, there's a lot of aspects that I choose to do to live authentically as myself that also put radar on me when I'm in different places. And so, but I'll become much more aware of that in different places. In Austin, often I look around and I see lots of other people with lots of other colorful hair, and other men wearing nail polish. And so it doesn't feel as much like I'm standing out sometimes. So, but yeah, you get a little bit further outside of Austin and all of a sudden you're like, oh yes, everyone is noticing me. That feels uncomfortable. So
yeah. When you're in those situations,
mm-hmm.
do you, knowing that you're going to go into one of those situations, do you consider toning back or do you consider dialing up? Either way?
Yeah.
Because one or the other, or maybe both, at least have to cross your brain.
Right? Yeah. It's I really appreciate that question, and I think it's something that is often at the forefront of my mind. And it's interesting because when you talk to my husband, it's not something that he thinks about as much. And I would say that he passed as straight unless people found out, or he talked about his identity to people for much of his life. He's much more masculine presenting in a lot of ways, and he also, thankfully for him, didn't have some of the like bullying and rough experiences that I had to experience growing up, and even like through grad school, having some really traumatic and scary situations happen. And so because of that, I think I tend to live a little bit more on alert. And I also found that by being authentically myself and maybe not toning it up, but choosing not to tone down rather, and just choosing to be authentically me, led me to feel a little bit more self-confident, which was important, and something that I was lacking for a long time, as well as I've now been in many situations where I found out years later that others were looking up to me and that the example that I was providing was really meaningful to other people. And I have many people in my life that I look up to that were that example for me. And so the fact that I could provide that for other people is just the best thing I could hope for, I suppose. And so because of that, I think that that'll be something that'll cross my mind if I'm feeling nervous and feeling like I need to tone it down or need to alter my appearance or, whatever. That said, it depends on the environment that I'm going into. So like for work, a lot of times I felt very empowered to do that. And I also felt supported by the leadership of the companies that I was working for to show up as myself. And that was wonderful. And that's very different than like driving through the middle of nowhere, Texas alone, and feeling really vulnerable in a place where I don't feel like I have support per se. So I've had weird situations where I've been pulled over and treated very differently here than I have in other states for speeding, which yes, I probably shouldn't speed. So I get that. But the interactions that I had with the people who pulled me over here were vastly different and made me feel much more nervous about like, oh, I don't like how that felt. And I don't, what do I need to do to make sure that I feel safe? So I've spent a lot of time in my adulthood trying to differentiate between the concept of safety and the concept of comfort, because I can feel uncomfortable, but I could still be safe. But that's very different than I'm actually in an unsafe environment. And so I think that also would factor into like what decisions I might make in that regard. So possibly a long answer to your question, but but I appreciate the question. It's an interesting one. Sense. Yeah. So
yeah. Want to try to relate this in some kind of sensible way.
Yeah.
So a guy that worked for me a while ago, it was a very intimidating looking guy. He was very, very dark skinned, 6'4", 260, 270 pounds. He was a big boy, right? And he would drive me around job to job. I'd do some paperwork in the passenger seat, whatever. And I had, at the time, a bad driver's license, right? I was in the passenger seat, whatever. He was driving me around. We were in these uppity towns. And frequently, he would get pulled over for being a giant black guy in these uppity neighborhoods.
Yeah.
No, that was something that there's no disguising that.
Yep. And that's also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm just thinking it's for these, you go in these, I don't know, the not so accepting areas of Texas.
Yeah.
If you were to just like put on a hat, do you think that would make a difference, or do you think that would just like damage your soul?
I hear your point or your question. So in some situations, I have worn a hat for that very reason. And depending on the day, it would damage my soul, and other days it would be not a big deal and not something I think too much about. So what I was going to say to what you shared before too about your coworker is what a unique experience it is for you to have observed that and experienced that with him, because I think it provides you with more empathy and understanding of what he might go through on a day-to-day basis. And so I appreciate that was hopefully one of your takeaways from that too, and probably led to some really interesting conversations with him as well. And I think that oftentimes, unless you experience difference and connect with people about what those differences feel like, oftentimes we miss some opportunities to learn and to grow ourselves. So that's really cool that you had that opportunity. And I hope that it was a really positive working relationship too, which is great. In my case, so there's elements of being queer that can be masked or hidden or toned down or whatever, right? But I would say that also applies with a lot of other groups of people, to where you can minimize aspects about yourself, even if it's not something that you're completely hiding. You can still tone some things down in order to feel like you fit in a little bit better, or really to help other people feel more comfortable in your presence, as opposed to thinking about your own comfort. And that whole concept is a concept called covering, a psychological concept called covering. And it's where you're not like hiding things completely from people, but you're minimizing things. And often for other people's comfort, or sometimes so that you don't get in trouble or whatever. So an example would be like in the workplace, if someone tells a joke, let's say you're a military veteran and someone tells a joke that's really not nice and awful against veterans, people may or may not know that that's a part of your identity and it's a part of your lived experience. But your choice on whether or not to speak up in that moment and say, hey, that's not cool. I don't really appreciate that joke or whatever. Or to just stay silent and just kind of change the subject or whatever. That's an element of covering, when you're like, you know what, I just don't want, and sometimes it's, I don't have the emotional bandwidth to deal with this, right? Also, this is something I used to educate people on in the workplace. So I feel like I immediately like flipped my switch to like facilitator mode here. But I think in terms of like my queer identity, there's elements that I can, for lack of better terms, butch it up a little bit more, to help others feel more comfortable in my presence, which sometimes I think is laughable because I think I'm the furthest thing from a threat to most people. But there are times when I chat with people that I can tell they're visibly uncomfortable, and I'm like, well, okay, I assume I can know why you're uncomfortable here. I think for me, I hit a point where I didn't like feeling like I had to, or wanting to continue to prioritize everyone else's comfort over my own, and sometimes my own discomfort too. I mean, it can be really uncomfortable to show up as my authentic self in different spaces as well too. But I also felt like that was often, that feels like it's important to me to do, sometimes in a way to also help others learn something about somebody that's different than them, maybe, and maybe help other people in the future too. I don't know. It's an interesting question, and I appreciate it. I will say, if there's like legit, true safety concerns, that's a very different situation, and I would, do whatever I can to minimize and get out of the situation as quickly as possible, or drive through the town that feels as uncomfortable as it does, exactly at the speed limit, so I don't get pulled over, and wearing a hat, and do whatever I can to blend in so that I can get out of there. But I would prefer to not be in spaces where I feel that uncomfortable too. So, which is sometimes unavoidable. So, but yeah.
So you mentioned that you're like the least threatening person. So I think the threatening part in these situations isn't like the threat of danger; it's the threat of exposing people's insecurities.
Right? Yes, and very much so. Yeah.
I don't think people realize that that's their issue.
Yep. I think you're absolutely right there. Yeah.
I don't know that there's ever been a proper way to explain that so these people understand that the problem lies with them.
Nope. And people don't typically respond well when you say that. Those types of things.
Well, nobody likes being told that they have a problem.
Exactly. Oh no, of course not. Yeah. But I would say, yeah, like you're right on the money there with that piece of exposing people's insecurities is a lot of what people feel uncomfortable or threatened by. And I think too, the word threatened feels like such a weighty word. And it's I don't feel comfortable around you is different than I feel threatened by you, I suppose too. So, but yeah, it is interesting. Like, I feel like because so much of my work has been around educating others on this type of stuff, I've grew very comfortable talking about it. And I also hit a point where I realized that I'm not immune to the emotional impact of having these conversations all the time, especially with people who are really not supportive and who are trying to like get me in a gotcha moment. I can definitely sense when that is happening and don't love that so much. But that work can be very rewarding, and it can also be very draining work to do. So yeah, but I also like you asked the question of like, thinking about if I might minimize aspects about my identity or whatever in order to feel safe and whatnot. And I also just think about like, I also made decisions like auditioning to be on Lego Masters and saying, well, this is going to be a very public thing. So it's, it has to be something that I need to be comfortable with, I suppose, if I'm going to be choosing to be this public. So that was an interesting and vulnerable experience for sure. But incredibly rewarding and awesome for sure. And I also formed this incredible friendship with John, which is great. So I don't know if you've seen our season, but John and I actually we knew each other only through Instagram. So we'd never built together until the show. And we hadn't met in person until the show. So yeah, what was random was years, like more than a decade before that, he had lived in Austin. And my husband, who I wasn't living here at the time, so I didn't know Philip yet, because I met him after I moved here. He randomly knew someone that John had dated. And so they had like gone to brunch together and like knew each other and had connected on Facebook, I think. And then that relationship fizzled. And so like John and Philip lost touch, but they were still loosely connected on Facebook. And I remember like before Lego Masters, like maybe a year and a half before, John started following me on Instagram and we started chatting back and forth. And he mentioned being in Austin. I was like, oh, that's cool. Interesting. And was just chatting with Philip about him. And Philip was like, wait, I know him. I was like, no, you don't. There's no way. But he did. They actually knew each other. So, but it was like that show and that whole show experience put me in a situation where I, needed to hopefully get comfortable with John real quick and vice versa, which worked out beautifully. And now we're very, very good friends, which is wonderful. But that was like, we had some of these early conversations towards the beginning too, of like, we know that we are cast in part because of our queer representation. And that's something the show is going to want to talk about. And, how does that feel to me? How does it feel to him and whatnot, there were a few people online who missed the fact that we weren't a couple. And so that came up quite a bit. And I'm like, y'all, this is just so silly. We literally talk about our husbands and our marriages and weddings and everything. And they introduce us as we're friends from Texas. And, but that's come up a couple times. So, which is, I always think is just kind of a silly situation. But yeah, I think choosing to be in environments where things are that public kind of puts you in a situation where it's like, well, I really need to be comfortable with sharing this part of my life with other people. So, and where people also come to expect you to show up in a certain way, whether that's based on their stereotypes of what queer people are like, or whether it's based on, they really want us to be vocal advocates for the queer community and represent everyone and all this stuff, all these things. And I don't know, there can be a lot of pressure and weight that gets added in there. Just like I think, teams of all women builders, it's like, what's it like to be a woman who builds? It's like, well, you could also just ask me what it's like to build. And there's truth and validity to why that matters, but also sometimes you don't want to be a token. Yeah. And also sometimes people then say like, well, you only got cast because of this reason.
That's
like, it does. And also the way I look at it is it's like, well, sure, if that's what you want to think, that's fine. My thought is, I think there are wonderful builders in the world who won't ever get cast on the show because they don't have the right personality for it. If you have a camera in front of your face, you need to be able to respond very well to that camera. That is a skill set I bring that has nothing to do with being queer. Like, that's also a reality of, when you think of, there are incredible builders who may not ever thrive in that environment. Also a competition environment. Like, there's all these different types of factors that go into that I kind of just brush that off and ignore that. If it does come up, it's only come up once for me. And it was like an Instagram comments from some random fool. I was like, okay, that's cool. Someday when you're on the show, I'll be happy to cheer you on, but you can be an asshole. So,
yeah, and people also have to realize how many applicants there are for those shows.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
What a small percentage actually get chosen.
Mm-hmm. For sure. It's I feel so grateful for it. I don't look at myself as the best builder in the world. I do think that I grew in my confidence and my building skills as a result of the show, for sure. And I started to understand that I am a good builder in ways that I don't think I was giving myself the credit for before. But by no means do I look at this and think like, I'm so much better than everyone else. I think that's garbage for anybody to have that mentality. Anyway, so and yeah, there are so many incredible builders that I've met at conventions where because I had such a positive experience on the show, I would tell them like, oh my gosh, I would love to see you on this. And a lot of them have been like, never. I would hate that environment. It sounds miserable to me. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's fair, I guess. Like to me, it was like this super fun game and I had so much fun. But to others, it can be super terrifying and not for them. And that's okay. So but a lot of those people I feel like are people that I also learned from through their Instagram stuff and through seeing them at conventions and peppering them with a million questions of how did you do that? Show me what you did. That's so cool. And I love that spirit of generosity that we see within the Lego community and how so many people are open to wanting to share with other people. Like that's something that I really enjoyed about working in education, that it felt like everything was open source because we all want to help everybody else out as well. We all are in this to better the world. And it was interesting to go from working in that environment to working in corporate tech and being like, oh, we don't just share everything. That's not a smart business decision. Interesting. So I feel like most people in the Lego community are pretty open to share and like want to talk about those types of things, which is fun. So.
Well, it's not every day you encounter somebody who you can actually share all of your Lego thoughts with.
That's so true.
Because people are like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. Talk about experiencing judgment. I feel like most AFOLs have probably experienced that from non-AFOLs if you ever talk about your hobby. So, if people are ever having a hard time understanding what it feels like to be excluded in this hobby for not, for one reason or another, it's like, well, you can help them understand by saying, how did it feel when you talked with your coworker and they were completely rude to you about this or dismissive of this? Not great, probably, so.
I remember the first time I tried explaining bricklink to somebody.
Oh my gosh. Which is also the hardest thing to explain in general. Like,
yes.
Yeah, I get asked the question often of like, oh, how did you design your sig figs? Especially when we were doing the minifigure photography and when that was like a bigger part of what I was doing. I was like, I don't know how to quickly explain to people like how to source the parts to make a minifig that looks like you and how complicated that can be.
Yes.
So yeah, that's honestly a big part of my role as a Lego ambassador. My goal is I want people to who are new to the hobby to feel welcome and included and to find their way into the hobby and to knowing some of the things that it seems like everybody just knows at the beginning, right? That's something that I really enjoy getting to do. What did I do? Oh, I messed up with this. Here we go. This is the build that I'm working on is the Lunar New Year set that has the mechanical horses at the front.
Oh, cool.
Which is really cool. And I'm really excited to like get into the how it all works in terms of the moving mechanisms. But it's also something that you have to pay pretty good attention to, which is probably not a good choice to build when chatting on a live stream. So, but yeah.
Okay, so thinking of recent builds, take a little detour here for half a second.
Yeah.
On today's build stream, you did the Nightmare Before Christmas, like botanical flower pot thing.
Yes.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. So I had 3 botanical sets that I was working on. This one I had built previously, I think while we were watching Traders actually or something this week, but I wanted to show people it because it's really interesting. It's a beautiful build and I like that it opens and reveals a story on the inside and whatnot. So I have this one and then the 2 that we got through. I always say we, and it's me, but I still speak in we's for some reason. The builds that I did on the live stream were the what is it, the magnolia branches, and then the sunflowers, which are still here because I did them just this afternoon, and they're so beautiful. I love the magnolia flowers, the new print, because it's like dual printed petals that are just super gorgeous, and they're all different and unique because of the way that they're printed in the machines, which is nice. But I found this one actually to be a pretty repetitive build, more so than the sunflowers. That one felt like there was more variety, which I liked. So yeah, sorry, you were going to ask something specific about the live stream, or?
But just, it's the first time I've seen the that particular one, the Nightmare Before Christmas one.
Oh yeah,
that wasn't in the box.
So
and
it's
those are printed. The flower pieces?
Yeah. So here, let me bring it to the camera. So these 3 black ones have the printing on them. I'm trying to get it to where the light shows the colors. So this one and this one are the same, and then this one is a different print. Nope, I did that wrong. These 2 are the same, and this one's a different print. And then these 2 are just purple and magenta. And they use the new purple color, so the lighter purple color gets included in there. This is a print as well, the Deadly Nightshade on the round piece, which is nice because that would be hard to put on correctly, especially on round pieces. I think people often forget that you need to put it on something flat first so that it's studded on, so you make sure that it's in the right orientation, because round pieces can swivel any which way. So, and then inside there's actually 2 other really cool stickers that are Nightmare Before Christmas themed.
The hill is in there.
Yeah, I love that sticker in particular. And then let me see if I can get the other one. I'm trying to look at the others, the thin stream for YouTube shorts.
Is that the laboratory?
It is. It looks like it's the lab, and there's a picture of Jack Skellington on the wall. And yeah, I think that's the lab where she concocts the thing that she feeds her counter. I forget his name.
The Deadly Nightshade.
Yeah. And it also has then this little printed flower in there, or not printed, this little flower, which is also in that new purple, now that I look at it. So
awesome.
Yeah, so this is a really great set. I was very excited that they sent this one for review, because this is one that I would have bought for sure. Anyhow, I like a lot of the Disney sets that they produce, and a big piece of that is the pop culture nostalgia for me. And just loving watching movies and shows and things. So and then we love the botanicals. We've got most of them in our house. I think there's 2 or 3 that we've never built, but for the most part we've got all the rest of them. So what types of things do you like to build?
Yes.
Yeah, I assume also a lot of mock building, given your physical space, but
no, surprisingly I haven't really got into mock building. Partly,
do you run a brickling store?
I do.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then another reason to have that level of
well, it's that almost makes it worse, because anytime I want to build something, I have to go through and deduct it all from inventory.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And
okay, that's a pain.
Yeah, and I love to organize chaos. I love sorting.
Oh my gosh, it's the best.
It's so therapeutic.
Yeah. It really is. Yeah, agreed.
But if I was to build, I could not just dig through a bucket of parts.
No.
so unlisted inventory is of no use to me for building.
Yes. No, that's totally fair. So over time, our Lego room has gotten to be really organized and structured and well sorted. And initially it was just because I was getting a large volume of parts, but it wasn't because I was intentionally doing that to mock build. It was more just like making order out of the chaos that was there. And then in 2023, I got a calendar from Lego that was a daily builds calendar, and there was a new prompt every day. And there were 6 prompts a week because Saturday, Sunday was 1 prompt. And so I thought, I wonder if I could like see how long I could get through this. Maybe it'll be a month and then I'll stop and lose the energy and excitement about it, or just like forget about it or get too far behind or whatever. And I ended up completing the entire freaking thing, which was amazing. It ended up being 313 prompts total throughout the whole year. And I found this other community of other builders that were online doing the same thing, which was super fun. And I want to say that same year, or it might have been a prior year. Actually, I think it was a prior year during a habitat challenge timeframe. I was visiting my family in Colorado, and my nephew builds, and he has the giant tub that's unsorted. And I was trying to teach him how to build habitats. And I remember after about an hour of digging through his bulk to just get the minimal pieces to build a shell, I was like, this is the worst experience ever. And I now have a hell of a lot more empathy for the parents who actually are able to put together a habitat from their kids' collections during these challenges. Because in my Lego room, which it's right behind this wall, like it will take me no time to find the 8x8 plates and all the 1x1 bricks and 1x4 bricks and all that kind of stuff. It's so much faster when it's all sorted. And my brain has cataloged where everything is in there, and there is a little bit of a method to some of it, but then it's like, oh, I ran out of space, so I had to come up with a different solution for these parts or whatever, and eventually I'll move some things around, and it's all in here, but nothing is labeled. And Philip has now loosely learned my organization structure in there, but still, like, oftentimes when he's building, he'll be like, hey, where's this thing? And I have to come and like help him find it. But it does make a huge difference to have it all well organized and well structured. I also find that I bias towards using the same type of parts for every build because I know where they are and I know what's in my stock and that kind of thing. And so doing things like that calendar were really good for my creativity because it forced me to think beyond those pieces sometimes, because maybe the prompt would be something that I just can't build with the bricks that I would build a habitat, or those types of things. So yeah, but yeah, interesting. Yeah. For one, I couldn't do a Bricklink store now because enough of the sets that we get through the Lego Ambassador Network are now woven into our collection that we're not allowed to sell any of those at all. And so technically that would not be okay from the Lego Ambassador Network. But also I think it would be such an undertaking to go through and catalog everything for that process, as I'm sure 100%. I mean, I only assume what that might be like. So yeah, it's got to be a lot to go through. So
yeah, we had over 1,000 drawers before we started cataloging.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
It's yeah.
That's
so for anybody watching now or on the replay gang, start cataloging right away. Even if you don't put anything up for sale, just start tracking in case you decide one day.
Oh my goodness. So, that's got to be a lot for sure. Yeah.
We just broke 150,000 yesterday.
Wow.
And I think we're 60% of the way there.
Oh my goodness.
And
yeah.
We just bought a 45,000 part Bricklink store that'll be here any day now.
Good for you. That's awesome. So expanding.
Yep.
A lot of work though.
Oh yeah. So people can give you a hard time. Oh, you put all that work in so you get a $6 sale, huh?
Right? Yeah. Isn't that the truth? Oh my goodness. Yeah. I would imagine
margins.
Is this right? Is this your full time now?
No, not yet. No. It's Lego in general is getting closer to full time every day.
Okay. Yeah.
Between Bricklink and the show, we have an app. We have cool. a Discord that we run. We're in 100 different spots here and there.
Yeah. What's that? Tell me about the app, because I'm not familiar with that one.
So nobody is.
Okay.
we're trying. We're trying.
Yeah.
So we are trying to create the greatest Lego shopping app there's ever been.
Cool.
So we focus on basically nothing but shopping. So you can use our app to see the best deals at, well, we took Target off for a little bit, but Target, Walmart, and Shop at Home.
Okay.
So basically, you open up the app, you click on Walmart, and it'll tell you from greatest discount down every discount that's at Walmart, at Target, or at Lego.
Nice.
So if you're just in the mood to shop and you just
want a good deal,
you want a good deal. It's an expensive hobby, right?
Expensive hobby,
so so you can just open our app, have them by discount, see what's on there, click right on it from the app, go directly to the store, do your shopping.
Nice.
And we have a subscription plan where we have access to information from Walmart. So we have real-time in-store pricing.
Oh, wow.
So when they do their clearance markdowns, the ones that don't even show up in the Walmart app, our app will tell you what the actual price is in store.
Nice.
And it gives you quantities and aisle location.
Okay.
And it'll sort them by lowest price, and it'll tell you the 50 stores closest to you.
Wow. Okay. Cool. So just a little undertaking.
It's oh man, it's been some work.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, that's cool. We've got over 1,000 people in the app now. We have it's 150 paid users, so we're making some progress.
Yeah.
And we are the only app, I think, that has actually lowered its price because of our success.
Oh wow! Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of that. I wanted to keep it as affordable as possible because the goal of the app is to save people money.
To save money, exactly right. Yeah, people don't want to spend money to hope that they can save money. Random tangent for you, but I'm building these sets, and most of the sets that we get from the Lego Ambassador Network are shipped from, I think, the Hungary location. And so for a couple of years now, they've been doing all the paper products for the bags on the inside, whereas most of the ones that I buy in stores here, I feel like still have a lot of the plastic bags. These paper bags, inevitably, every set, I have one or two pieces that I didn't realize was stuck in the paper until I'm building the piece or the set, and I'm like, I know I'm missing something. And sure enough, that just happened again with this. I love it because those plastic bags are not recyclable, and so in an easy way. And so the paper is more recyclable than the plastic, but still drives me nuts that it's like a constant struggle. So.
Yeah, I think you almost have to fully rip them open so it's open like a book.
You do, and I'm not good about doing that. I'm like always. I think I'm just like flying through builds, and so I'm like not as aware of, or I think I always like swipe my hands along it to try and like crease it and make sure that there's nothing I feel in there. But inevitably, I'm always running into that issue. So minor complaint. I'd rather have it be paper, I think, but still.
Yeah, we haven't seen full paper yet. We've seen paper bags inside of the plastic bags.
Oh, yeah, which is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that in the Creel house. But
yeah. Did you build the Creel house or did you just part it out?
We kept the house.
Okay.
And we're selling the minifigures.
Yeah, that is a really fun build.
Yeah.
That was really cool for sure. So, and those figs are fantastic. I'm sure someone's going to be thrilled to find them on your store.
Saving that one for my wife to build.
Nice.
And eventually she'll have time.
Yeah.
She does the majority of the packing and shipping for the Bricklink store, so she stays pretty busy.
Yeah, for sure. About how many shipments do you have going out like on an average week?
Not a ton. I think we're up a little bit. It's 1.3 a day is our average right now.
Okay, yeah.
So
I mean, it's enough to like keep you busy for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, between that and Facebook Marketplace and everything else.
Yeah. Do you, with Facebook Marketplace, are you selling the same stock? And so when something sells on Facebook Marketplace, you have to take it out of your Bricklink stock, or do you have a separate?
It's separate stuff. We have too many retired sets that we sell as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we were doing the Amazon thing for a while and stopped that. And knock on wood, sometime in the next couple of months, we'll have the Brick Dynasty shop open within the app, so people can shop the rest there too.
Yeah. And I'm sure your followers already know this, but I don't. Can you tell me about your screen name?
Brick Dynasty. So the idea there, so Dynasty, you think, I don't know, like the Ming Dynasty, that kind of thing, where it's the family that runs it for the duration of the dynasty.
Yeah.
Then the dynasty ends. Well, this is the dynasty of the brick, so it will just never end. And we are all our own little monarchs within this dynasty.
I like it. That's funny.
Yeah, it was almost a problem, but it,
yeah.
I started Brick Dynasty in it was 2023.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's almost been 3 years now. And we got everything set up. We started the Discord and all of those things. And we were just starting to gain a little bit of traction. And another Brick Dynasty showed up on YouTube.
Oh, no.
And it sucked because I enjoyed his content.
Oh, no. Yeah.
He seemed like a likable guy. But I sent him a message and I'm like, hey, I already got this thing going on. I would really appreciate it if you change your name.
Yeah.
And no response. I'm like, all right. So now I'm just going to talk a bunch of trash because this community is tight enough that word will travel that way. I kept it like playground, like elementary school. I didn't want to be completely mean right now.
No, sure. Yeah.
And instantly, right away, I get a message. Right. I'm like, all right, well, now we can talk. So let's hop on a Zoom call or something. We'll talk face to face. You know, we're adults here. And right away, got everything straightened out.
Okay.
He is now Brick Domain. He's been on the show a bunch of times. He's a great guy.
That's awesome.
It's like,
man, I love that it resulted in a friendship. Yeah. So not like mortal enemies.
No. Knock on wood, all those things. I have no mortal enemies. I try to get along with everybody.
Good. Yeah.
Anybody else, then they're just not worth the time.
Yeah, I'm still weighing this friendship here, so we'll see. But I feel good about it so far. So I think we're off to a good start.
Yeah, I mean, there's too many things that cause actual pain in life to like be the cause of someone's pain.
Oh my gosh, isn't that the truth? Yeah. No, that's honestly like this. I love the AFOL community in a lot of ways, and there are times when I get really frustrated with it because I think people get so upset about certain things, and it can be all-consuming for people. Yeah. And I don't understand that sometimes. Although, I mean, we've all been in situations where like we maybe overestimate something or overinflate the importance of something, I suppose. But yeah, there are times when I'm like, wow, why is there drama here? Like this, there shouldn't be. This seems completely silly to me and unnecessary. So occasionally I'll get a little bit of that, like the anti-land perspective from people. But usually the way that comes across to me, or the way that's delivered to me is like, oh, but you're one of the good ones. And I'm like, nope, shutting that down. We are all good ones. Maybe that one is not for you, and that's fine. I might be for you. Great. Maybe I'm not. There are people in the world, I'm sure, who do not like my content, and that's okay. I'm not for everybody, but hopefully they'll find somebody that is, right? But yeah, that's usually if that stuff comes my way, it's like, oh, but not you. And I'm like, let's not talk bad about my friends either, though, you know?
So the land hate, I think, is a riot.
It's so wild.
Not because like it's funny to like hate on land, but it's like, some of us are so so involved and we're so close to the subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
The algorithm knows to feed us what we watch, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Yep.
if you watch some land content, they're going to feed you more land content.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next thing you know, it's like, well, I've seen the same set reviewed 9 times. Well, you watched the same set be reviewed 9 times. So
Exactly.
that's not land's fault.
No.
It's
Social media 101.
go run a search on TikTok for puppies and
Mhm.
watch some puppy content and cleanse your algorithm.
Yes.
You know, it's
Oh, that's so true.
yeah, it's like they're doing their job. Like
Yeah.
a new big release comes out, of course everybody's going to review it, especially if it's one that, you know, it's everybody in land wants the set.
Yep.
You know,
It's such an interesting thing. I love that point and perspective too of like, you're getting this content because you're choosing to consume this content, and then you're getting angry about it, and so you're yelling in the comments, and what you're telling the algorithm is, send me more of this.
Yeah.
Like, you're causing the problem for yourself. If you don't want it, don't engage. Don't engage with it. It's laughable to me in a lot of ways. It's funny to me how, like, I'll have a friend send me some one piece of content about something that's like unrelated, especially now that I do have a personal Instagram that is mostly just like life stuff and whatever, like not it Lego creeps in there for sure because that's such a huge part of life, but it's not all Lego, right? But I don't use it near as often because I spend so much of my time with the BradyJoynerBricks account, and because of that, now a lot of my friends and family will send me personal things there because they know that that's like an easy way to reach me versus the other one. And so depending on what I engage with there, that'll completely change my feed too. And I'm like, this is weird. Why am I not seeing Lego anymore? Like, one thing that now is overrun in my content is Animal Crossing content. And it's because I was reverse engineering the Lego furniture builds in Animal Crossing. So and I play Animal Crossing too. I really enjoy it. But because that was like a little bit of the content that I was looking up on Instagram and sharing about, now it's like 90% Animal Crossing things. And I'm like, oh, I don't want this all the time. But that's my own fault. Like, it's literally my own fault. So
I get hit with that 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. So Mark Larson, Brick World Mark, was on a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, yeah.
Now, I know nothing about Animal Crossing. I play basically 0 games. I don't do any of that.
Yeah.
But I know he's got his Animal Crossing stream.
Fun. Okay.
It's Wednesday nights at 11 Central, so midnight here. I think is when that happens.
Nice. I'm gonna have to look that up.
And I'm pretty sure it's just him and Lene, Brick Babe, just the two of them running around and doing Animal Crossing things.
That's fun.
So I went and I looked to kind of look into what Animal Crossing was a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I had to really put some effort into refreshing the feed.
Right. I don't care about this.
Yeah, it's like I just kind of wanted to like compare it to Fabuland because that's where it came from for him.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, all those like the impact of the algorithm and the impact of the Lego Ambassador Network for me has been, it got me back into gaming, and it's because Lego started doing all these gaming IPs. And it started for me with Animal Crossing. I thought the sets were adorable. I really thought the minifigures were cute. I didn't really think the sets were all that complicated and exciting from a build standpoint, but I loved the minifigures and I wanted to know a little bit more about it. So I started to research it more and found that there was something called Pocket Camp, which was an iPhone version of the game. And it's very scaled down from what the actual game is. But I started playing it and then I became really obsessed with it very quickly. And I asked Philip for a Switch for Christmas that year because I was like, I really wanted to play Animal Crossing, like the real one. And he kept saying he wasn't going to get me one. And then he did, which was a big mistake. And I'm saying that because he just walked in the room. So he's watching some probably spooky show that I won't like. he got it for me and I started playing the game and I loved it. And then Lego also around the same time had the Fortnite collaboration and had sent me some stuff related to Fortnite. And I actually got some hate from people in the Lego community who were like, "You're not a real gamer. You don't deserve that." And I was like, "Oh, okay, it's going to sit on my shelf and I'm going to learn a lot about Fortnite because I want to and I'm interested." Now I play it nonstop and really enjoy it. And I'm like, why did they do this? Same thing with, let me see if I can move. Here we go. Pokemon. A year ago, they announced Pokemon. And I thought, I've never played Pokemon. It was something that everybody else did. And I just didn't when I was a kid and wasn't that interested in. But let's learn a little bit more about this. And now I play Pokemon Go all the time and really enjoy it. And I had so much fun building those. And I just designed a Pokeball that I shared the instructions for actually like right before this stream today on Instagram, because it's just fun. And all of that is like the effect of Lego partnering with these IPs. And I just think it's funny because a lot of times the responses that I'll hear from people outside of the Lego Ambassador Network, and not from everybody, but like from some really angry people, for example, would be, the only people who deserve this or whatever are people who are deep fans who've known this forever. One Piece was another example where we had watched the One Piece Netflix show and really enjoyed it. And then we got the sets to review and Philip and I were building them together, rewatched the Netflix series, really enjoyed it. But I'm not someone who's watched the 22 years worth of anime that was the precursor of that. And there was a little bit of hate there of like people being like, "You're not a true fan." It's like, interesting. The sets are based off of the Netflix show that I watched. Yeah. So I think I am. And also, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to spend years of my life catching up on this just to prove that I'm capable to review the set, But yeah, but the algorithm, it is interesting because it's like, I'll find out about new IPs from the LAN and that, they share with us the press releases. Usually it's like a day before. So it's not like we get a huge advance notice, but they share it with us to ask us to amplify it. And we're not obligated to do any specific thing. Obviously some channels are like true news channels, so Tips and Bricks or they're not even the best example of that, but like, I'm losing it off the top of my head, but there's a bunch of channels that their job is to do the top Lego news. And then there's those of us who are not. And for me, it's like, I will share the news of the things I'm really excited about. And that I think my audience are, and when I say audience, I always feel cringy with that, but my community, when I think it's something they'll care about, I'll share it too. But it is often that like, they'll talk about an IP and then I'll go and look it up more because I want to know more about this. And then all of a sudden I become a fan because apparently I'm really easily swayed. So yeah.
Yeah. Giving people a hard time for not being true fans is it's so dumb because
it's so dumb.
I think that this seems safe to say we've all been criticized at some point in our lives for being into the things that we're into. Because we're all kind of a bunch of nerds in this game.
Yes, right? Exactly.
So wouldn't you want more of us? You want people to be into well, they can't. None of us were into the things we're into from the day we were born. We all had to learn about it.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think like, the hate that you see often within Star Wars communities, where people get so up in arms about all those things. And it's like, truthfully, I am a big Star Wars fan. And what brought me into being a big Star Wars fan was the release of the movies that came out. I think it was like 2015 when the new wave came out. Maybe actually it was probably before then, but the release of the Force Awakens series. And that brought so many people into the fandom. And also, I did grow up having watched the original trilogy. I also worked at a movie theater when they re-released all of those, and when the prequel movies came out too. And so I did see all of those in theater, but I didn't consider myself a Star Wars fan because it was like, oh, I'd watch the movies, but that's different than being deep in a fandom, But yeah, the interesting hate that comes through, I'm like, I don't understand. that piece, and then the other piece that I find like super frustrating or surprising or whatever is when people get really on someone for liking things, like the opposite effect. When people like make fun of someone for having too much energy or too much excitement, like I don't understand that. I'm like, it's fun to like things.
Yep.
Like it's actually really enjoyable to enjoy life. So why would you be mad that someone's enjoying life? I don't get that. So no.
I've made it like my mission
Mhm.
to get in everybody's comments and like yell at them for hating on Piglet. I love
Okay.
that set. I think
Yeah.
that set is nearly perfect because it's a 9+ set.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
that's the target audience, and it is perfect. I happen to have a 9-year-old. Right?
Yeah. Oh, fun. Yeah.
So it's the perfect set. It's the right age for Winnie the Pooh stuff.
It is. Right? Yeah.
They did that so well.
It's adorable.
I don't think the price is bad. It
Agreed.
hits all of the targets that people like. Oh well, this is ugly, and it's the arms are weird, and it's like it's not for you.
It's not for you at all. Exactly. Yeah. That was when we were at the so I've only had one opportunity to do this, but when we got to go to the Lego Fan Media Days this year, which was just incredible. One of the things that they said at the beginning was, sorry, I'm distracted because my husband is watching Megan, and I think it's Megan 2.0, and I'm like, great, this is going to be real distracting and not fun for me. I don't like spooky things at all, and he did make me watch Megan, and I actually loosely liked it, but yeah. Anyway, Fan Media Days. So we get there, and one of the things they said was, that Lego wanted to make sure that as we were reviewing sets and talking about reveals of sets, that we were also really factoring in the age that the sets are designed for, because the designers literally do that's a huge part of their consideration when they're building it. So the people who made that Piglet set were doing it for a 9-year-old, like you said, and I loved that they emphasized that, because I've gotten sets for review that are for children. And that as I'm building them, I'm like, this is not for me, and that's fine. But it's full of great parts that I will reuse. And I love the minifigures that are in this for these reasons, but I'm not going to sit there and hate on the set because it didn't match all of what I expect them to do for an adult builder. I'm going to think through the lens of a kid. And I also, I've got nieces and nephews of different ages that are younger, and we have good friends that have kids that love to build. And so I have an audience of people that I can also ask and inquire about, or, get some input from a kid on some of these things as well too. But yeah, I just think it's so laughable when people get up in arms about that kind of stuff, because it's like, it's not for you, like you said, for sure. Yeah. I built that one last week on my live stream, and I did 2 days last week. And I did that one day, and then Winnie the Pooh the next day. And of course, I was much more wowed with Winnie the Pooh. It's so incredible. But that one's geared towards me. Yeah. The Piglet one is really cute. And now I have a birthday cake, which was great because it was my birthday last week. So it was like, what a wonderful decoration to have out. So perfect.
Happy birthday.
And you get a Piglet minifigure. Like, what's not to like? So
that's the same Piglet minifigure from the tree.
It is. Yeah. I compared them during the second day when I was looking at the Winnie the Pooh stuff, because Winnie the Pooh comes with Pooh and with Eeyore, and the torso print on Pooh is different, but otherwise everything else is the same, and it's minimally different. It has a white handkerchief type thing tied around the neck. But that's it. So the red on the shirt, also the printing is one of the two. I think it was the newer one. The printing was less vibrant. I feel like it was better printed in the first one, but the white handkerchief was really bold. Like it didn't look like you were looking at white through a screen, like we've seen when they print like white on navy or whatever. So, but yeah, one weird thing was with Eeyore in the set, the what do you call it? house set, 100 Acre Forest. The Eeyore that came in that one had a bow on its tail, and they didn't include the bow in the large one.
Interesting.
Which is the little friends thing that, like, attaches in the stud, or that little hole.
Oh, those things are the worst.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't really know why they chose to leave it out, because it's an easy add-on, but it also doesn't feel like it significantly changes the set to not have that. And you probably have an extra one somewhere in the house if you have any Lego sets that would have those in them. So, but yeah,
no,
that's funny. I haven't encountered the hate for Piglet, so that's really funny to hear. But I also find, like, the people who join my live streams tend to be pretty optimistic and kind, and I have a couple of people who I can always expect to bring the hate for something, and they still do so in a relatively, like, reasonable way, I suppose. But yeah, for the most part, most of my community is like, we just love Lego.
Yeah.
So
I'm all for constructive criticism.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
But emphasis on constructive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's how we grow. Like, that's one thing that when I first was doing some build competitions online, or build challenges online, I had a friend of the community who was saying, it's interesting that no one gives any constructive feedback. Everyone wants to give, like, just super positive, happy feedback, but no one's giving any feedback for growth. And it was just an interesting statement to hear, because they're not wrong. I think most people would bias towards, like, oh, that's so cute, or that's so good, or, and not really think about, like, here's something you can do to improve. And that's something that I was trying to weave into my build challenge community, is like, how can I give constructive criticism in a way that encourages others to do it as well, in a way that helps with growth, but that also honors the fact that it's vulnerable to put yourself out there and build something, and have it go out in the world and have people critique it. And I'd still tend to bias more towards very positive, happy, kind responses, because that's just me. But yeah,
it's also tricky
mm-hmm.
when your responses come through text.
Yes, very
it's
true.
So hard to read tone.
Yes,
like you can say the exact same words and
mm-hmm.
either be trying to be helpful, or just you're trying to be a dick, and they're
yes.
the same words.
They are the exact same words. No, that's very, very true. Honestly, that's part of what I love about live streams, because this I prefer so much better than this. Yeah. Someone, who was it? I'm trying to remember who. Someone that I follow and became friends with was always in the habit of, my friend Cam. So they also became an ambassador at the same time I did. They're cosplay Cam on Instagram. But they got in the habit of sending me voice memos. And at first I was like, I feel so old. This feels so outside of my norm and whatever. But I got in the habit of responding back with voice memos to them. And I actually really like it. I prefer that to the kind of just written text back and forth, because you can hear the tone, and you do get a better sense of people that way. So yeah, it's interesting. So much of that gets lost online for sure. So unrelated, but I want to show you what I just built, because this is pretty cool. So the mechanism that will move the horses spins here on the left-hand side, and you can barely see it. Also, I'm wearing red, and this is all red, so it's hard to tell. But there are these 4 levers here, and when you spin it, they move up and down very slowly, and actually a little bit more forward and backward very slowly too. So it'll be interesting once I get to the place of connecting the horses on there. But that's a pretty cool. Sleek build, and it moves very smoothly. I could imagine attaching a motor to this; it'll move pretty well. So yeah.
I love the color scheme in all of the lunar sets.
Mm-hmm. It's gorgeous and vibrant and bold. One of the sets that I loved from that, I guess more or less that line, was the dragon from the Year of the Dragon. It didn't move or anything. It was a stagnant build. But it was
the auspicious dragon.
The auspicious dragon. Yes, I missed the word from there. So yeah, that one was just so stunning. And I like really enjoy sculpted builds. So Winnie the Pooh set, that was right up my alley. All of these Pokemon sets, I really enjoyed. Actually, I liked building the base for the huge one more than I liked building the characters, which shocked me. This one was really incredible. This one was very repetitive. This dragon was awesome. But I liked learning how they did especially on the center part, there's all this lava underneath the Charmander or Charizard. And it was really cool to see like the different parts usage as well as the color choices they made to create that foundation. So I was expecting to love the sculpts as like the standout for me. But.
See, and this is why it's important to hear multiple people's perspectives.
Yeah.
if anybody watching has seen Jean's versions, review, she talked about what a terrible experience it was spending all of that time building the bases, where she would have been happy just building the three
just skipping
creatures.
past it. Yeah.
Or possibly even just one because she didn't care about the other two or whatever.
Right? Yeah.
But
that's so interesting.
Different perspectives, it's none of them are wrong.
No, exactly. Right. And we all have, validity to why. And also like, to me, Pikachu, I agreed with people when you look at the pictures, it didn't look all that great. Like it looked like something was just off. In person, I really like it. And I was very impressed with it and kind of surprised by that. That was another one though, where I enjoyed building the base a little bit more. And I think probably part of that is the scale of building that I'll do for conventions and to display and stuff is often smaller. And I'm wanting to do bigger scaled things. And so I've done sculpted characters, very small ones or medium-sized ones, but getting to experience something that does a larger landscape on a minifig scale, or even a larger landscape that's for these massive monsters, right? It's different techniques than what I'm used to, so I feel like I'm learning from that experience. And as probably evident, with my background in education, I love learning, and I love anytime that I can apply that learning in a different way. So I look at building these review sets and building any Lego sets as kind of like teaching me how to level up my skills for the work that I get to do, which is super cool. So, but yeah, it's different than like, I know there are some people in the Lego Investor Network who like their core focus is Ninjago, or their core focus is like a specific theme. They're going to be reviewing those things through such a different lens. And that makes sense, and their core audience probably are major fans of that specific IP. What was interesting is a year ago, I got to review the Twilight set, and I was incredibly excited for that only because the designer was on Lego Masters with me. And I was thrilled because I knew I was going to get to do an exclusive interview with him about his set because he's my friend, and he was excited about it and was like, I would love to go on your YouTube show. And I was like, this will be so much fun. And then of course the show, so we filmed October 2023. Our season aired May 2025, a year and a half later. So they made us keep that secret for a year and a half, which was so mean. And they also had told us that it could air as early as January 2024. So we filmed October, thought it might air in January. We heard nothing for a year and a half. And then all of a sudden we got this random message that was like, surprise, it's coming out in a couple weeks. Do we still have your right contact information? And we're like, wait, what? Because all of us were kind of afraid that maybe they just weren't ever going to air it. Anyway, we knew that his set was approved through Lego Ideas. We knew that he was, working on this really cool thing. And so I had talked to him early on, and I was like, Nick, this will be so much fun. I'll, do anything I can to see if they'll get me that review set. And then I'll do an interview with you. And he's like, yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. So then by the time the interview came, our show still hadn't been announced. So we couldn't explain why we knew each other. We weren't allowed to know each other. I was like, this is so dumb. This is annoying. All this being said, that was like the tangent part of the story. The Twilight fandom is fascinating and so different than any fandoms I've ever been a part of, which is so fun. And so like that whole experience was so interesting because I had a huge a lot of people viewed that interview because they were Twilight fans who are now going to buy a Lego set for the first time ever, you know. Those aren't people who are going to be long-term audience for me at all. But it was just so interesting to just like have that experience, and what they cared about the set was so different. And like for me, my experience was when I moved to Austin, I don't know, it might have been 2010, 2011. So like a couple years into living here, Philip and I were already together and we were building a puzzle at my house at the time. And our other friend, Marianne, our best friend, was over. And the three of us were building a puzzle together. And we watched a YouTube video that was all the clips of silence from the Twilight movies together. So, have you seen Twilight?
No.
Okay, it's, in my opinion, it's not worth it. But and I'm sure the Twilight fans would be furious with me about that. It's just not my jam, but that's okay. But the movies, there's so much in the movie where it's literally just a character staring at another character and not saying anything. And there was a little ticker timer in the corner that would count the number of minutes per movie, because there were, I think, 5 movies total. There were 4 books, and the last one I think was split into 2. And every movie, the amount of silence would almost double from the previous movie. And so it was the weirdest experience to watch that version of Twilight, which isn't really watching the movie. And it was on in the background and we were laughing at it. Like it just was this like silly, stupid thing. So that was my only experience with Twilight. And then, of course, Nick makes the set, and I'm like, I should probably actually know what I'm talking about. So we watched, as we built it, I think the first 3 movies, which was plenty for me. So, and then, yeah, joined that live stream, and it was like, wow. And what they care about is so deep about the story and the lore and all of this stuff, and how that translates to Lego. But they don't care about the build techniques and, you know, all the things that I'm like, this is so cool. I love how you did these windows and, you know, whatever. So, but yeah. Also, like with my Pokemon week, since I did these over the course of a week because they took forever, I was starting to get an audience of people that were like major Pokemon fans. And I was like, oh, they're going to be real mad when I'm like, okay, next week we're building Monet. Like, so different. So, but, you know, my buddies that still join the live streams, they're all still there, which is good. So,
hey, Brickdad's here. Hello, hey. Brickdad.
Hello, how's it going?
I think I caught the Monet stream.
Oh yeah, fun.
Yeah,
awesome.
Because during that one, that was during you had the Valentine's Day.
The Habitat. Yes, I did. Yeah, that was a very busy week.
Yeah, and you told the story of Loveland and the stamps.
Oh my gosh! Yes, good. Okay, you've got great memory. Yeah, that was so much fun to get to host that year and do my entire Habitat stack. It's actually across the room over there, but do that entire Habitat stack on Loveland, Colorado. It's like such a cheesy part of my story of like growing up in this silly hometown that celebrates Valentine's Day in a stupidly big way. But I love it so much. It's such a great story. And it was also really fun to be like I had one of the habitats that was specific about the Loveland Public Library because it was one of my favorite places as a kid. And with each thing, I would tag, you know, Loveland Chamber of Commerce or the library or the post office, because they do the remailing program and all these different types of things. And it was really fun because I haven't lived there in forever. A lot of people that I grew up with still live there, and many of them now work in these institutions, which was fun. So like in some ways I was reconnecting with people from my past. But then also I was talking with a lot of people that moved to Loveland later in life and now work there and you know, now work at the library, and they're like, this is so cool. And they were resharing it. And I was like, this is so weird because it doesn't like, there are so many days when it feels like my life has only been in Austin because I've been here for so long, you know, or like, I feel like I've lived different realities, and it's all one life. It's just a lot of change over time. So Where did you grow up?
Basically around here,
Okay.
Boston area.
Nice. And what city are you in now?
I'm in Norwood, so we are.
Norwood.
Where are we? Southwest of the city.
Okay. So I did an
It's a long
internship
bike ride.
A long bike ride? Okay,
Yeah,
so
to
it's
the
actually
city.
pretty close then if you're able to go in by bike. Drop the piece under the table. I did a summer internship during grad school at Suffolk University. So I lived for that summer on Boston Common in the dorms, which was such an amazing experience to get to live where that was like my view out my window, but loved it. And actually had planned at the time to try and move to Boston after grad school and work there. So didn't happen. I moved to Miami, which is very different.
Very different.
Very, very different. And also really cool and exciting in such a different way. But yeah, that's really fun. So do you go to conventions up that way?
We've been to 2.
Okay.
And they were both pretty terrible.
Oh no. Okay.
We did Brickfest Live, and then we did whatever the other one was called, just something generic, Brick Convention, I think it was called.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And my kids enjoyed them, which
yes, of course.
which was the point, let them have their fun.
Yes.
But it's like 50-50 on whether we'd ever go again. I don't know. And then last year we did Brick World for the first time. And now that will be a yearly thing.
Nice. That's awesome. I have yet to do Brick World, and it's mostly because the timing was almost up until this year. It was 2 weeks before or 1 week before Brick Rodeo. And for a number of years, I was on the planning committee. And we just were swamped with everything. And it was like, this is just not going to happen this year. Maybe someday. So it's still on my list. I really, really want to go. But it feels like there's always something that runs up right at that exact same time. We have our nieces and nephews on both sides of our family a lot of them are starting to graduate high school. And so that falls right around the same time as Brick World Chicago, to where we've gone the last 2 summers for graduations. I think this summer will be the one summer off before we have another few summers in a row of graduation travel. So
well, you better take advantage of it and come this year.
I know. Yeah. We'll see. We're traveling to, it's our one of our best friends' 40th birthdays this year. And so we're going to Paris, which has been a long time planned trip, but also a very expensive trip. So we'll see after that one's over what we can do with travel otherwise. So
yeah, you can't skip the 40th.
No, you can't. Yeah, and this has been something that we've talked about for years. So like, we're all very, very excited about it. It'll be a lot of fun. I've never been. She's been, I think, twice, and both times were for work. And Philip works with her, and he had gone one of those times too. So he's been, but it was like a quick work trip type thing. So this will be a lot of fun. So, but there's a lot of conventions I want to check out that I haven't had a chance to yet. So.
Yeah, it was Meredith. Pink Wheels was on last week.
Oh yeah. Oh, she's great.
She was talking about bricks on the 6th.
Yeah, I've heard such good things.
I guess I had never really thought of that one, probably because it's out of the country, whatever.
Sure.
But Toronto's right there.
Yeah, it's real close, right?
That's an easy trip from here.
Yeah. Oh, you should go. If you go, say hello to Maya and Jamie, who are in my season, and hopefully Alex and Tone if they come, because they're right there as well. I can't remember if they've gone the last 2 years or not, but I've seen Maya a few times since we filmed, because she's come to Brick Rodeo the last 2 years, and then is that the only time I've seen her? I think so. But I haven't seen her dad, Jamie. But he's very active in my build community, so we chat all the time, which is fun. And Alex and Tone, I haven't seen since filming either. So I'm like, I'd rather see you. So Bricks in the 6 is on our list to eventually go to as well. But that's also, it's at a time of year when it's really busy, and when end of the year is always just kind of a bit of chaos for us. So in a good way, but So you've got a 9-year-old, and then you said kids, so multiple.
Yeah, 9-year-old and a 4-year-old.
9 and 4, fun. I love that. Do they both build?
So my youngest built what did she build? She built a creator turtle.
Yeah.
That was her first non-Duplo set, and
Nice. Okay.
that was just the other day.
Yeah, that's a cute set too.
Yeah, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
It's tricky because of the age gap. They need to build far enough away from each other that they can keep their hands off of each other.
Okay.
But close enough they can still see what the other one is doing without having to wander off to see.
Okay. Sure.
So we gotta try to balance that and figure that out. So we're not quite there yet, but we'll get it.
Yeah. We have friends who they just had their second kid, and their first is 2.5, I think. That's right. And we got him a Duplo set for Christmas, and it's the first set he's ever had. And his mom and dad send us videos all the time of the really wacky creations that he's making. And it's like 17 pieces, and 4 or 5 of them are dinosaurs. They're so cute. It's the cutest little thing. But he makes the most elaborate stories out of them. And I'm just so impressed with his imagination. And it's made me want to like source as many Duplo sets as I can to like fill up his stock. But also how cool that he's coming up with all this with just a few pieces, you know? So that's been such a joy, because most of the people in our lives that we know that are builders are already at the Lego age, not the like past the Duplo age. So it's been fun to be like, oh yeah, this is so neat to witness and experience. So
yeah, we've had a lot of good times with Duplo.
That's cool.
I'm really looking forward to getting them out of the house.
Yeah. Yeah. Do they take up a lot of space, or what is it about them?
They do. They take up a lot of space. And now we're at that weird spot with my youngest where the Duplo starts getting involved in magnetile projects.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Random other, Duplo sized characters start getting added in the mix. And somehow there's like a whole pile of the like that Jack Stone size figures mixed in there.
Of course.
Which may or may not have been pulled out of our brick inventory.
Right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, how did this make its way over there?
I don't know. It's all odd. I'd like to get her onto just the regular system stuff.
Yeah.
We also have a pretty good deal going. So for my oldest, the way she earns her Lego sets is by sorting Lego.
There you go. That's smart. That's really smart.
Yeah, every 30 minutes of sorting earns her 50 pieces.
Okay.
So if she wants a 300-piece set, it's basically 3 hours, right? And
okay.
We're pretty lenient about that. So
you're like, this has not been exactly the amount of time.
Yeah. So if we give her, what could be 30 minutes worth of work and she gets it done in like 18, she still accomplished the task. It's close enough,
Yeah, I love that. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
I like the element too of like how that teaches responsibility, and she's getting an insight into what you all do with the Lego, with Bricklink and all that kind of stuff too. So it's really fun.
Yeah, and it also gives her a little bit more experience with elements that she's not going to encounter in the more basic sets that she builds. So
oh, that's cool. Wonder if that'll change the way she builds as she gets older too.
Yeah. So. Well, hopefully, the added exposure gives her
that's
some
really
more
cool.
abilities there.
Yeah. Well, I'm very happy to hear that y'all had a chance to go to Brick World Chicago and experience what I would say is like a legitimate, Lego convention, as opposed to a Lego event. And again, not that those things are bad, but obviously they're such far different experiences for sure. That's something where a lot of our friends, when we would tell them like, oh, you should come, there's this fun Lego convention. It's happening in Austin. You can get a chance to see like some of our art in person and whatever. A lot of times they just were like, I don't know. And then the few that would come would be like, whoa, this is what you're talking about? I'm like, yes, this is what we do. Like, it's so different than what you think it is. And I love when people get a chance to experience that, but they have to get past their assumptions of what it is. And sometimes those assumptions come because they went to a BrickFest Live and they were like, oh, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. And I don't know how you spend your time doing that. Well, it's not the same thing. So, but yeah.
Hey, Smokey's here too. Hey, Smokey.
Hello.
BrickFest was a weird one.
Yeah.
There was no way that Brick World could get as much hype as it has and be anything like BrickFest.
No, not at all. Not at all, for sure. Yeah.
And there were so many people that, we met, which I use loosely, Discord,
right, yeah.
YouTube chat and whatever else. It's like,
right.
It felt like we knew enough people that it would be worth the trip.
Yeah. Did the whole family go?
Just myself and my wife.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Yep. And there was no way I was going to be able to go without her. She's the opposite of me as far as being able to get into a room.
Yeah. That's awesome, though. And you said she builds as well?
She doesn't really build a lot.
Okay.
She used to. When we first started the business, we were buying bulk lots and then like reassembling used sets and selling. She did all of the building then.
Okay, yeah.
We did that for quite a while.
Gosh.
Which is how we came up with half of this inventory.
Yeah.
And then that was just a lot of work for very little return.
Yeah. No, that's a huge amount of work.
Yeah. You get to build a lot of awesome stuff, though.
I bet with what people give up and pass on, you're like, wait a minute. That's honestly when so I used to work in higher education and I worked at the university. And when I left that job to work in corporate, my former boss, her wife, reached out to me and said, hey, I know you like to do Lego things. Our son is done with the hobby. Would you know of any place that he could sell these sets? And I'm still kicking myself to this day for not buying them because the price that it would have been is so much cheaper than what they actually were worth, which I didn't know at the time either. I was like, oh, what type of sets? But it was like literally all the sets from the Lego movie and a whole bunch of other ones from that time period that I would have really enjoyed getting the chance to build and experience. But I was like, I don't know, it was still relatively early to the hobby. We had just started the Instagram account and, it was not something where I was thinking much beyond how we were currently using the bricks at the time. And now I'm like, oh, that would have been so amazing to get to have those sets. So was there ever a time period of sets that you look at and you're like, oh, I really wish I missed out on those ones and I wish I would have bought them, or any themes that you'd want to see come back or anything?
I want more Scooby-Doo.
Yes. Yeah.
For sure. I honestly don't know what else they could do other than revamp the sets they already made.
Oh, for sure. For Scooby-Doo. Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't have a whole lot of options.
Yeah.
What they need to do is they need to have some kind of conveyor belt system so they can go in and out of the same 4 doors.
Yes, that would be amazing. That'd be a fun mod. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I like that idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I have almost all of the Scooby sets now.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And the more I think about it, the more I don't want to finish, because then that's it, right?
Yeah, no, that's true, right? And it's over. Yeah. The ones that I would say are on my list are Monster Fighters. Now, one thing that's really fun, though, is Philip and I both would have loved the Mansion. That one would have been ideal for the two of us. And 2019, we started to put together using the instructions, just build it on our own with bricks that we had, which like we came into some sand green masonry bricks, and that whole build is sand green. And so we did it with all the masonry bricks instead, and incorporated just a few regular bricks here and there, which adds a different type of detail to it. But we did them backwards, so it almost looks like wood because it's just the individual line as opposed to like the brick line on the outside of it. And then COVID happened. And so during COVID, we were buying stuff off Bricklink and adding to this collection of stuff that we needed to finish the house, and ended up finishing it. But the main differences in ours versus the real one are the masonry bricks, and then the roof is navy, because the black sloped parts that were those tall slopes were stupid expensive on Bricklink at the time, because they were like, especially the corner ones, but even all of them were very expensive and you needed so many. But for some reason the navy was cheap, and so we bought those parts for it. And then we had all the figs from the CMF series of the haunted monster theme one. I think it was series 14. And over time had gotten some of the ones from Monster Fighters. So we have basically the cast that goes with it. I still really want the sticker sheet. I would love that someday. And that's something that, will be a fun someday thing, hopefully. But it's fun because it was like such a different experience to build it, since we were having to like source it ourselves, and it took months and months and months to do. And so that ended up making it a really interesting experience that we wouldn't have had we bought the store bought set, but we would have had everything perfect that way too. So I don't know, but those for sure. And then I just 2 weeks ago got a white whale set that I really wanted, which was it was a Lego Ideas set, pirates themed. I know the name of it and it's escaping me, but it's the shipwreck one that has like the Islander statue sideways.
Is that Barracuda Bay?
Yes, Barracuda Bay. Yes. So I just got that one, and that was our local Bricks and Minifigs had it. We've got 3 Bricks and Minifig stores and a 4th that's opening soon, which is fun. But one of our stores had it, and I was so excited. So that one I have waiting to build for a rainy day. But the other one that I really want is the Apocalypseburg. I would love to build that one. That would be so cool. So
maybe
someday.
Bricks and Minifigs Schaumburg.
Okay, yeah.
They have that with no minifigures, which is perfect for me. I honestly don't care about minifigures. I just I want the build.
You want the build? Okay, sure.
Yep. And I forget how much it was, but it was very reasonably priced.
Yeah.
But it was assembled. And it's like, how the hell am I going to get this home? And I have no time to properly disassemble this.
No,
to pack it and ship it. I got
at a hotel, and
yeah,
right.
I couldn't pull the trigger. I've kind of been kicking myself since that.
So I'm sure.
Done it.
Well, maybe it'll still come into your possession someday. No, that would be one that I would love. I would love it with all the minifigures, but I also we are minifigure collectors over here. The reason we started collecting minifigures was the Lego movie, so I feel very connected to those figs, even more so than the movie. I loved the movie, but I feel very connected to those series of figs. So
the Harley Quinn alone drives the price of that set up so much.
That is ridiculous. I just saw that at our Bricks and Minifigs, and I was like, where is this one from? And then when they said it, I'm like, oh, of course. I should have known that. Sometimes I think the resell, I'm like, what in the world are we doing here, y'all? Like, this is so silly. I threw another piece. Here it is. I had a bad habit of doing that today during this chat. Oh, here we go. These horses are really interesting. The builds are so different, and they have to be really slender. But just to see that being one stud wide or one brick wide for where the main is,
that's wild.
It's really impressive. That's like a level of detail that I haven't mastered, making something that thin, I feel like my characters are always, I've made I did a series of what I called holiday buddies, that were these cute little characters that were like one for every month of the year. But that was different. That wasn't like, this is like meant to look like a horse, you know?
Yeah.
It has more of the actual detail of a horse, a real horse. So Schaumburg, that was Chicago, right?
Yep.
Brick World, Chicago. Yeah. So, yeah. Someday we'll make it up there for sure. So if you're in the Boston area, I'm trying to think East Coast, probably the closest that I can think of would have been Brickford, Virginia, which is south, of course. Yeah. And I think I've heard it may not happen this year. I don't know for sure. Don't quote me on that.
I heard that as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Venue issues.
Yeah. So we did experience that in 2024. And it was good. It was nice. It was also like, we knew we were going to see some of the Lego Masters friends, and we all had to pretend like we were just meeting each other for the first time, which was so dumb. But it was nice to get to see them. And it was also nice to experience a convention that was much bigger, because rodeo, it hits the sweet spot of being like slightly big, but slightly small, like right in the middle. And the first few years that we went, it was around probably 350 or 400 AFOLs, and now it's closer to like 600 or 700, I think. So it's growing for sure. But Brickford, Virginia was like 1,300, you know, and you know, as you've been to Chicago, obviously that one's massive. So we wanted to experience something that was a little bit bigger, and it was nice to see that. Plus, their public days and Brick Slopes Utah's public days were massive. So many people, which is also a really fun and different experience. So
this year we're actually gonna, I think we're almost settled in, but I think we're hosting our first event at Brick World this year.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
What can you talk about what that would look like, or are you still waiting? Yeah, I was like, I don't want to.
So basically it's everybody over there is on the same page, so we're good.
Cool. Nice.
Just gotta hash out final little details.
Okay.
So I have purchased minifigure parachutes.
Okay.
And there's like where the lobby is there. The lobby is actually up escalators, so it's up high.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So we're gonna set it up and actually put out like a vinyl banner for targets and whatnot. And we're gonna launch minifigure parachute.
That is so fun. I love that.
Yeah. So that'll be a good time.
Yeah, that's really cool. With the size and scale of it at Schaumburg, like what was your experience there with that? Did you feel like it felt overwhelming, or like how did you feel like you were able to navigate going and finding your people and feel like it didn't feel too big?
So we went on Wednesday.
Okay.
And we got there basically immediately. We were in there an hour before they opened or something, so we could get in line. You know, thanks to Discord and Instagram, we kind of connected with people in advance so we could find them in the lobby.
Yeah.
We actually picked some people up at the airport, which helped.
Oh, nice.
Kind of break the ice.
Yeah.
Some of our friends from the UK were coming in, so we got them at the airport, and that was great.
That's cool. Yeah.
And yeah, we just kind of hung out the line and waited for the doors to open, and then, you know, connected with more people once we got inside.
Cool. It's I feel like you have to do a little bit of that pre-work in order to help make it successful. And I think, you know, that's where people can be very intimidated by that, and I get it, you know, but yeah, I'm hopeful when we go. We know so many people that have gone that we'll have people that can help like walk us through and connect us to answer the questions that you have and all that kind of stuff, and, you know, greet you and whatever. So but yeah, Chicago's been on our list for a while. Cascade as well. I really want to do Bricks Cascade and Brick World. We really wanted to do Brickcentric too this year. That's the newer one in LA. But we are going to be traveling to Paris around that same time. So it's like we can't swing both this time, unfortunately. So I think that'll be on the short list for future years too. But I wish we could go to every single one. So, and it's been really fun when we've gone to get to display our mocks at different places. So like we, because of the awesome opportunity to go to Denmark for the fan media days, we also went a week in advance and did a vacation because it was our 10-year anniversary. So we were like, this is a good time to, or a good reason to tag on the anniversary trip. But then also we brought our mocks to display at Scareback Fan Weekend, which I highly recommend for anybody. It's so different than any other Lego convention I've been to, and I love the global nature of it, that you really do connect with people from all over the world there in person, you know. So I know Chicago gets some global participation too, and we've had a little bit at Rodeo, but it just pales in comparison to like every person you're talking to is from a different country. And it was neat to be there after being on Lego Masters and have a little bit, like some people knew, but for the most part, most people hadn't seen the US version, which is fine. And I was on a panel that was an international Lego Masters panel. And there were 10 of us from 10 different countries who had 10 different experiences because it's so different from place to place. And as you're walking through looking at mocks, like every third mock had the Lego Masters logo on it because it was another person who'd competed on the show. And it was very humbling and positive to be like, yeah, there's a lot of us. Like I'm not special and that's fine. And I don't need to feel special or anything, but it was so cool and so neat to just like see how big of a global community Lego has, and then also a global community that Lego Masters has too. And there's like we have a Facebook group of all the Lego Masters around the world. And so it's people that I was starting to get to know their names and stuff if I didn't already know them before. So great to finally meet people in person and all that. And I'm sure Chicago would feel very similarly because so many people go from all over. So yeah. Huge. That was a little bit of how Virginia felt when we went. I think had we not known as many people as we did, it could have felt very lonely and very hard to meet people and connect because it felt a little cliquey, and not in a negative way, not in a like little school kid, you know, type thing, but more in the sense that like the way they display their mocks is by your lug. And so the lugs go as a group and hang out together, and they're very insular mostly because this is their time to have fun with their friends that they don't get to hang out with as much. And I thought about it and I was like, you know, there's elements that we don't get that with TexLug, where I'm just hanging out with all the people from TexLug. I see them at the meetings that we have monthly, so yes, we get that, but it's like we come in and it's a 2-hour thing and it's pretty quick. Like this is like you spend the entire 4 days with this group, you know, and there's an element there of really great community building that happens. But on the flip side, if you're not a part of one of the legs that's displaying, you are a lone wolf on your own. And so thankfully, we knew a lot of people that all happened to be in, which lug is it? Charm City lug, which is like not DFW, that's Texas, DC area. Okay. And it was like the 3 states that all converged like right in that area. But they kind of pulled us in and adopted us as extra members of their lug. And so we got to hang out with them the whole time, which was good. But yeah, it's like there's pros and cons to that. And I think that's also where Chicago has people display predominantly by lug, right? Mm-hmm. And so, or by group that you go together with if you don't have a lug. And so I think there's elements there that like you benefit from in that environment. And then also it could make it tough if you're just visiting by yourself.
So you familiar with ACOB, a couple of brickheads?
I've heard of it, and I don't know that I know them all that well. So
okay, so they're great, a great bunch of guys.
Yeah,
they have become, what's the term they use? Influencer coordinators for Brick World.
Okay. Yeah.
It basically they're cat herders.
Okay, yeah. That's good.
And, but yeah, they're awesome. And
nice.
They created Girthlug.
Okay.
Just because everything they do is just ridiculous. And that's
yeah.
So they're not an actual lug. It's just all of the boys in the Discord that just want to display. They're like, all right, well, we're just going to call it Girthlug because their group is referred to as the Girth Gang.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
And, yeah, it's ridiculous. And there is a lot of them, and they're going to eat up some real estate at Brick World next year.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, last year was the first year for that, and I'm willing to bet there's going to be 35 or 40 people displaying this year.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. That'll be huge. I've also heard of Orphan Lug, which is another thing that's like an offshoot, I guess, of Chicago, where I'm like, oh, that's fun that it's like a way to connect people who are like, you don't really have a table. We can all be a table together.
I love it.
A little bit different, but similar concept. Okay, look at this horse head. That is really, let me see if I can.
Awesome.
Yeah, like that's not at all. I clearly didn't look much at the box with this set. Also, often with these review sets, unless it's something that I've been, highly anticipating or whatever, what happens with the Lego Ambassador program is we'll get an email that says you've been offered this set, and it'll be a set number and the theme. So in this case, I think it said like Spring Festival, so I knew it was related to Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year. And then the set number. If it hasn't been leaked, there's no way for me to know anything about that set. And we're also not supposed to engage in leaks. So I always think it's interesting because it's like you have to choose if you're going to review something, not really fully knowing. But I know enough to know like, okay, I used to work in diversity, equity, and inclusion. I really enjoy learning about global cultures, like everything around Lunar New Year. Was a big part of the workplace I was at before because we had a bunch of, it was a global company and we had people all over the globe that celebrated this in big ways. And it like shut down some of our plants and offices for a week and a half at the time. So I was really excited about the Lunar New Year sets. But yeah, like I didn't know what it was going to be. I assumed it was probably going to be Year of the Horse related, right? But you don't know what you're going to build. So, this came through and I didn't see much about it. And I did see other things that like we saw at Fan Media Days, like the floral sets and stuff. So I knew more about those. So this one just kind of like, when I got it, I saw it, I looked at it, I was like, that's really cool, excited to build this, and set it aside. So yeah, then it's like the build experience. I'm like, oh, that's neat. I feel like I didn't do my research enough, but it's really cool. So I knew it had moving parts, which I was really excited about for sure.
Yeah,
but the sculpt is really cool.
Size.
Yeah, I'm really impressed. It's the thing itself is quite large for like, I mean, that's about a 32 by 32 base plate this way. And then this way it's even longer because it has all of this kind of that goes off the edge. So it will take up a lot of space, but not too bad. And the horses, like it's really impressive. I'm trying to see if you can see the detail. It's just, I'm really impressed with the sculpt here. And these front legs, they do articulate, and the like the knee joint, and also the ankle. Yes, that's what we'd call that. That can articulate too. The back ones, it looks like they're more stable and in positions. The legs can still bend at the knees, and the tail can go up and down. But that probably makes sense with the way it's going to be attached. You wouldn't really want it to have that movement happen too much because it might fall off with the back pieces here. But anyway, pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So, oh, and it's not done. I missed the cheeks. That's kind of an important piece that hides some of that. There we go. Let's try that again. But here, yeah, take another look. So looks a little bit more finished that way, I suppose. Yeah. Anyway, really, really cool. That's a nice one. So, and a very sleek mechanism.
All right.
Anyhow,
well, I'm looking at the time here, and we are past time.
We are. Yes.
Ask one more question.
Yeah, sure. Please.
Wrap it up. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked timing on a whole bunch of things.
Mm-hmm.
Where did LAN come in versus Lego Masters recording?
Oh yeah, good question. So I think I applied for LAN twice. The first time was fall of 2022, and then the next time was in spring 2023. So I was accepted into LAN May 2023, I think. And my first set of review sets that I was getting came probably like August or September. So it was pretty close to us filming. Lego Masters, which also didn't know anything about me being a Lego ambassador. The year before, the winner was a Lego ambassador person. And I think no one's ever said this, but I'm curious on if they were intentionally trying to find people who didn't have big social media presence for our season, because they had a few seasons where they had a lot of people that had big social media presence. So I'm not exactly sure of that, but I'm curious about that for sure. And when I got into LAN, I had maybe close to just under 3,000 followers. So I didn't think I would be accepted. And I was pleasantly surprised for sure. They really valued the way that I would talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the reviews of my sets. And I was doing things that aligned with that they loved. And they also loved the educational background, and how when I talk about things, I talk about like, here's a cool technique and here's how that fits into other things. So that's the only feedback I really got related to that. I do think being a part of the queer community is something that they value and that they appreciate, but that was never explicitly stated as like, this was a big thing for you, which I've gone back and forth and wondering how much that matters to them, but I don't care all that much. I'm glad that they support me and whatnot. But that came May, and then Lego Masters, I had auditioned. So the show had reached out to us since the first season because they were looking for personalities, and they saw that we had an online presence and we were a couple, and they were like, oh, that's a fun story and whatever. But the first 2 years, I was like watching the show in awe and thinking there's no way I could ever do this. And so I laughingly was like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna, which I know a lot of people get reached out to from casting. They cast broad and wide, for sure. And so by the time the third season came around, I started to develop more of my mock skills and started to get excited about this possibility. And Philip wasn't ready, and wasn't sure about it. And so I was like, well, I'm going to at least talk with casting and entertain the conversation. So I did like the initial rounds of interviews and stuff. And then since I didn't have a partner, that just didn't go anywhere. Then the next year for the fourth season, they reached out again. Philip wasn't really sure about it. And with his blessing, I asked a friend of mine from the LUG to audition, and we did and went through the process, and nothing really came of that. They kind of ghost you after a while with that too. So we did, the early starts of it. And then at Brick Rodeo, after that, our friend Luis, who we're very close with, who's in Miami and who was on season 4, was there. And I knew that I really wanted to audition. And I knew that I needed to find a partner that I had good chemistry with, and that I, thought their build skills complemented mine and all this stuff. And so I just asked him at the closing reception, hey, have you ever thought about Lego Masters? And he turned beet red because he wasn't able to tell me that he was on the season that was about to air. And literally later that week, they announced it. And so because he knew they were going to announce it, he said, I can't do that anymore. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, I might be on the next season. I'm like, what? So he really tried to convince Philip to be excited about it, and like, you should go together. You'll love it. It's going to be a great experience. And he was really excited about it. And we were going to both work on practicing. I'm answering way more than what you asked, but we were both going to work on like practicing some build skills that we felt weak in, and like that kind of stuff over the next 6 months, with the plan of going and filming in February. And then of course they rushed everything because of the writer's strike, and filmed it in October. So they jumped straight into casting, and it was actually impossible for us both to be away from work at the same time. And so thankfully, also with his blessing, I was like, hey, this feels like an opportunity that I don't want to miss. And would you be okay with me going with somebody else? And he said, yeah. So I asked John, and yeah, then that happened. But the ambassador role technically was before. But I remember while we were at filming, I was talking to someone, and I was like, hey, can I tell the Lego Ambassador Network that I'm on this? Do they already know? And they were like, what's that? I was like, wait, what? Like they just didn't really, it's not that Lego and Lego Masters are different companies and all that kind of stuff. So to them, a Lego Ambassador, they would look at as probably just like a Lego content creator, but not necessarily tied in. They might know more about it now. I'm not sure, but yeah. but that was interesting. And then and they told me, yeah, that it's fine to let them know. So, but I had to do it in a way that like copied the producer so that they knew who I was talking to and all this stuff. It was kind of weird. And that was more because I had just gotten review sets and I was like, I'm gone and I won't be doing these. And I thought I was going to get in trouble, and they're super lenient and kind. So they were fine with that.
So there had been other land members that they were land members prior to the show?
I think the only one I know is BradyJoynerBricks.
Okay.
And I think he was.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think he's the only one that actually was. Yeah, now that I think about it, like Ethan became an ambassador actually this summer. He was just recently, or last summer, he was just recently recognized, and his partner, Ethan and Dom. Yeah, they both were just huge Lego content creators, but not officially recognized Lego ambassadors. And I'm trying to think of who else. Maya, who's on my season, she actually applied to the LAN after our season was over because she and I talked a lot. She has an amazing YouTube. She does incredible builds. And hers are very, like, one of the things I really admire about her is she does incredible builds that are medieval and Jurassic time periods, but the sculpts of the trees and the foliage and everything, it's so lush and looks so real. It's just incredible high quality stuff. And her YouTube focuses a lot on the build techniques with all that kind of stuff. So she became an ambassador after our season. And I think even before our season, actually, she became an ambassador before our season aired, but after we filmed. So, but we're the only two in our season. And then we have a few others that are like content creators that have reasonably big followings and stuff, but not in the LAN. So, but have gotten to do some cool Lego things because sometimes Lego will tap into other content creators too. Like they were tapping into Ethan and Dom before they became recognized, I think. So
it's funny thinking about Doc because he's such a legend. In my head, he's almost like the special guest on Lego Masters more than a contestant.
Yeah. That's funny.
He's just got such a big personality, and he's been such a fixture for so long.
For so long, he really has. Yeah, it's funny too because like when actually I met him in person for the first time at Fan Media Days, and I've followed the show so closely, and I have so many friends that had been on past seasons that I was a big fangirl of, and we've also watched all the Australia seasons and some of the other ones we can watch from our house, right? So I know who's been on it and all those things, and when I meet them, I'm usually like, oh my gosh, it's so cool to finally meet you. And it was funny because when I met him at Fan Media Days, it was clear that we were meeting, and it was at dinner, and like they were at a table, and I was like dropping some stickers off to everybody of like my little stickers that I have for my tiny account. And he was friendly and nice, but it was clear that he didn't know me, which is fine. I don't care. Like most of the people in the room didn't know me, and not a big deal. But someone beside him was like, don't you know him? Because he's on Lego Masters. And he was like, what? You were on Lego Masters? And I just laughed about it because I was like, oh, I guess you didn't watch the season after yours. Oh, well, that's fine. So, but he's such a nice guy. And I feel like they also painted him as this like super villain, weird character. And I think it's just like he just enjoyed playing up the fun of it all. And then it became the edit that they went with, which is silly. But yeah, it was nice to finally get a chance to meet him. So, and Ethan I've known actually for a long time because he displays at Brick Rodeo. So, I remember when watching this season where he was like surprise included in it. I was like, wait, I've seen his builds in person. That's so cool. So
he's done some funny videos lately where he's got the footage of himself with and without a beard mixed in to the edit.
I'll need to look. That's funny. I missed that one.
You know how he does the like whatever it is, the 3 stages and things get more difficult and whatever. Yeah. Mixed into the clips. He'll start off with a beard, and there'll be like clips of him without it, or the other way around.
That's really funny.
Where it's like, hey, this is some old footage. We'll just wrap it in there.
Yeah. Which also is obviously an intentional choice, the way that he's filming them, which is really funny. That's great. He is quite the character. Actually, during the year and a half when we weren't allowed to tell people about our season, he was trying to figure out who was on our season. And we displayed side by side at Brick Rodeo. And he was peppering me with a million questions. And I was like, I know what he's doing. And I'm not going to give him an inch. I had a motor on my build. And he looked over the motor and he said, what's that motor called? And I was like, I know exactly why he's asking this, because he wants to know if I answer the way Lego Masters would have said. So I just put them and I was like, I think it's from some like Lego education thing. I don't really know. I know your game and I'm not gonna play it. So but he's fun and his builds are so incredible. And he's also actually like a really nice guy too. And I think sometimes people get intimidated to meet him because his personality is so big, especially online. But in person, he's actually a little bit shy. So
really,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Or he can come across that way. I think that's something that you do notice, or that I notice a lot with people that I know from social media. That then when you meet them in person, it's like either there's a huge personality behind somebody that you thought was really quiet, or vice versa. And you're like, oh wow, I thought you'd be louder. Or I thought you'd be taller. So
yeah. Height is a real thing.
It's weird.
People are either tiny or giants.
Mm-hmm.
There's
always one or the other, and it's never matching what's in my head for them. Yeah. People usually think I'm really short, and honestly, in my head, I'm not as tall as I am. But people are usually like, "Oh, you're a lot taller than you thought, or than I thought." So, anyway,
how tall are you?
5'11".
Okay, so
yeah,
normal height. Okay.
Yeah, right. I know. I'm like, it's the height that I am. I don't know. So, but yeah. Anyhow, thank you for inviting me. This has been really fun. It's been nice to chat.
It's been a great time. I appreciate you coming and hanging out.
Of course, yeah. This is great.
So I have your link tree in the description. So anybody watching now or in Replay Gang, in the description, you can find all of Justin's things there, which includes YouTube, Instagram, all of your other various things. You have a laundry list of things on there, so everybody should go check those out.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you hanging out.
Of course, yeah. Great to chat with you, and again, great to also connect with your audience as well. So thanks, everybody.
All right.
Good to see you.
I will see you back over on Instagram.
Sounds good.
All right.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.